So now I'll move on to questions. I can see you guys have posted quite a number of them. All right. So Lester is asking, okay, if the studies by Pharma and French are based on US stock, isn't there a bias? If so, how relevant is factor-based investing to Singapore stocks? Okay, to clarify, right, Pharma and French did not just do US, they did for the whole world. Okay, and what I mentioned about the US was the authors of this book, okay, Swidrow and Birkin, they have done only for the US. Okay, but a lot of the research papers have been done internationally. For example, even the gross profitability, right? Novimarks have specifically done it for Singapore stocks. In fact, they were saying that non-US stocks that has gross profitability factor, right, did much better than it in US. Okay, so remember, one of the 5 criteria for a factor to become a factor is pervasiveness. It must apply to all countries, all sectors in the whole world, and before they are being admitted as a factor. So all these factors that we discussed have passed these criteria, so it's applied to everywhere in the world. Okay. And Clement asks, do you rebalance the portfolio annually? So the answer is yes. All the factors that's being discussed, all the results, the rebalancing is done every year. So for example, if they rank the stock by top 30%, bottom 30%, right? So the types of stocks in that top 30% next year will change, right? So they will follow whatever changes there is to formulate a new portfolio. Okay, so the rebalancing is done every year. So it's not buy and hold for 20 years. So there is an annual rebalancing. So that's a good question to clarify. Okay, and let's also ask about the profitability. If we need companies with good cash earnings, then what's the ratio compared to accrued earnings? All right, so there isn't any specific number, okay, for that ratio. But if you ask me, there are other ways to look at things. Two ways I would tackle this problem. One is probably use quality of earnings. All right, you take operating cash flow divided by earnings, and you want a higher ratio as much as possible. Okay, closer to 1. That will give you a good cash-based kind of earnings. And the second way is what we talk about in our courses. Okay, we use like free cash flow. So if your free cash flow yield is generally quite high, close to your earnings yield, or is more than enough to cover your dividends, it gives you a good assurance that the company is earning cash rather than just pure accrual earnings. All right, and Lester again, so he asked about low volatility stocks. The author saying that we should give it a miss, right? Yes, the authors actually suggested that, but I think that low volatility is still a valid factor, and probably is better to be combined with other factors. So for example, maybe we can combine value with low volatility or quality with low volatility. Okay, so these are some of the ways that I think it is still a valid factor. In this sense, I kind of differ from the author's preference. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope that this is a good summary of the book. There are a lot of nuggets of wisdom that's there. Who knows, right? Because I also using my worldview to summarize this book, and I share with you what I've learned. There might be some things that I would think that there are a lot of things that probably they are written in the book that you will probably find refreshing, and some new knowledge that you might pick up from there. So I hope that you should give the book a read.